Good evening, one and all. This is Caru, broadcasting live to you from Spanish Fork, Utah, as we do every Saturday night at 7 o'clock and 5 other times during the week. We also go on Facebook Live. Today our talk is called Further, Faster, and let me offer my respects to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder, Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Agana Timaranda Syangana Gana Salakya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tajmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutare Swayam Rupakaramayam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Siyata Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagadatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Stam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Krishna Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Sta Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutare Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Itinamane Namaste Sarasati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishek Sunyavadi Praskata De Sadharine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Although we call our Monday morning Bhagavatam classes Motivational Monday, Saturday and Sundays are even more geared towards motivating you, towards self-realization, self-actualization, and self-improvement. So we've chosen as the title for our talk today, Further and Faster, that if you keep God first place and honor Him by chanting His holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, He'll take you forward, further, and faster. In 1981, Bhai Bobby and I put a down payment on the radio station here in Spanish Fork that came with 5 acres of land, and there was a 10-year mortgage. We had to pay about $1,500 a month to retain the title of the land. And right next door during the entire 10 years that we were paying on this original 5 acres, and of course we had no extra funds for it, but there was an additional 8.5 acres right next door with a sale for sign on it. It was owned by the Catholic Church, and I used to call them just out of mild curiosity every couple of years and ask them what price they wanted. And I would invariably get this kind of very curt, abrupt, obviously elderly lady named Barbara Godowski, who handled the real estate division of the Catholic Church. And she would bark out $95,000. I would say, is there any chance of owner financing? And she would just very abruptly say no. And that was our phone call once every 3 or 4 years. Not that we had any money to acquire the property, but it was just a routine that I went through. But I could see that it was way beyond our means. And my wife and I are missionaries. The last 50 years, we have no credit history, so we can't qualify in order to get a loan. So in 1991, 10 years had elapsed, we'd finally paid off the mortgage on the original radio station and 5 acres of property. And I thought that if we saved our money for another 10 years, and no one bought this property in the meantime, we could acquire it. But it wasn't likely. It was a prime piece of property in South Utah County, and actually speaking, it was impossible that this property would sit, not being snatched up for a whole another decade. I put it out of my mind with the thought that the land was so perfect, right adjacent to us, so tempting. I toyed and daydreamed with the idea that you could do a lot with an extra 8.5 acres of land. Coupled with the original 5 acres, it would make 15 acres. I thought maybe even we could build a temple on that land, but it's way beyond our means. And then one day I felt a stirring deep inside, and I called the church real estate office once again, and lo and behold, Barbara Glodowski had retired, and a young man named Rick Salviti had taken over. And we got to talking, and turns out Rick Salviti is from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, and I'm from the bustling metropolis of Stallstown, Pennsylvania. Stallstown has about 100 people, and I think Beaver Falls has probably even less. We're just 2 crossroads on Pennsylvania country highways. Of course, Beaver Falls has a distinction of being the location where Frank Lloyd Wright built his famous residential facility called Falling Waters. Anyway, we had something in common, and we got to talking. It was a warm sort of a conversation. I didn't think we'd be able to secure the whole property, and so I threw at him the idea that maybe we could put a few $1,000s down on maybe 2 or 3 of the 8 acres. He said he would take it to the bishop and talk about it and get back to me. Long story short, he got back to me and he said, look, the Catholic Church needs to raise some money quickly. I've got authorization from the bishop. And remember, Barbara Godowski had told me for many years that the price was non-negotiable, $95,000, and the Catholic Church would not own or finance it. So Rick Salviti offered me the whole land. He didn't want to mess around with selling part of it. He offered me the whole land at $75,000. He would take a $25,000 down payment, and they would finance the additional $50,000. Of course, nowadays the land is probably worth closer to $1 million, but that's how it all suddenly fell into place. And here's my point. What seemed impossible to me, even after 10 years, Krishna not only made it happen, but he made it happen 9 years and 11 months sooner than I would have ever thought it possible. In other words, he shifted us into a higher gear. He took us further, faster than I could have ever imagined. Because of that, we now have this beautiful world-class temple in Spanish Fork. And that temple has acted as a launching pad, a springboard to having built another temple, which opened in August of 2019 in Salt Lake City. We're living in a day where Krishna is speeding things up. If you honor God by chanting his holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, I predict that he will do in a fraction of a time what previously it would have been very difficult, even impossible to accomplish after as much as a decade. In your career, it should take you 20 years to work your way up into that management position. 20 years to build up your business to where you wanted to be. No, things are shifting. Krishna is going to give you breaks that you didn't deserve. He's going to bring the right people across your path. You're going to see opportunities like you've never seen them before. In other words, he's going to take you further and faster. Get these 2 words down in your spirit. Further, faster, and don't forget forward. It may look like in the natural it's going to take you years to pay off those student loans, get out of debt, years to cure that chronic illness, years to get over the negative effects of the pandemic. No, you need to get ready. You're coming into a shift of gears. Think of it like a car. When you shift from first gear to 5th gear, the engine's still running, still doing the same RPMs. It's not working any harder, but you're going faster. You're covering more ground. The higher gears have a greater capacity, and they're designed to go faster. In the same way, because you've kept Krishna first place, he's shifting you to a higher gear. You're going to go further, faster, not because you're working harder, not because you're trying and exerting yourself to make it all happening. No, you're putting forward the same effort, smiling, being good to people, being your best every day, but all of a sudden you get a good break that thrusts you years down the road. You get a promotion that you weren't qualified, and you look up and think, how did I get here? Should have taken me another 20 years, but here I am. The grace of God. The medical report said it would take me 5 years to recover, but I did it in 6 months. It should have taken me most of my career to get into management, but here I am at the age of 30. It should have taken me 10 years to buy that land in Spanish Fork or a temple. It took 1 month. What is that? Because you've honored Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna is taking you forward, further, and faster. And part of the shift is acceleration. It's not going to take you as long to accomplish your goals as you think. It will not take you as long to cause that problem to turn around as you think it will. Why? As Almighty God, the creator of millions and millions of universes, is breathing in your direction, causing things to fall into place. The right people drawn to you, good breaks, opportunities, open doors, healing, restoration, favor. It's not business as usual. You've come into a shift. It's going to be business as unusual. Krishna is saying, just stay faithful. Don't fall apart during the pandemic. Keep on keeping on. It's an opportunity for you to exhibit radical faith. What should have finished you is going to launch you. And when it comes, it'll happen sooner than you think. He's going to shift things in your favor. You're going to come into acceleration. What should have taken you a lifetime to accomplish, he's going to do it in a fraction of the time. Now, just do your part and don't talk yourself out of it. Well, I don't know, Caru. I don't have the seniority. I have all these college loans, this debt. I've gone as far as I can. What about this pandemic? I got laid off of my job. Our encouragement is, be a believer, don't be a doubter. You may not see a way, but Krishna always has a way. Your attitude should be, Krishna, I'm in agreement with you. I believe that you've shifted things in my favor. I believe that you're taking me forward, further, faster. I will accomplish my dreams sooner than I think. I will overcome these problems quicker than I thought. And when you do that, Almighty Lord Krishna will open doors that no one can shut, connect you to the right people. His favor will thrust you years and years down the road. In 1949, a young minister named Billy Graham traveled around the country holding meetings in large auditoriums. He was having success, but he wasn't really nationally known. And that summer, he conducted a meeting in a big tent in Los Angeles. Now, a gentleman by the name of William Randolph Hearst showed up that night to hear Billy Graham speak. Mr. Hearst owned most of the newspapers throughout the continental United States of America at that time. And he was so touched that night by the message that Billy Graham preached, he sent a telegram the next morning to all of his newspapers to write favorable articles about Billy Graham. Overnight, the whole country was talking about this young minister. Now, there were many other ministers, and they were very talented. But God singled out this young minister and sent the right connection to catapult him explosively overnight to his destiny. That was a divine shift. That was God taking him further, faster. It could have taken Billy Graham his whole lifetime to gain that kind of respect and credibility on his own. But Krishna used one man to show him favor and open doors that took his ministry to a whole new level. Now, this is also very interesting. Billy Graham did not have to search out William Randolph Hearst. Instead, the newspaper chain's owner searched out Billy Graham. You don't have to try to find the right people. You just have to honor Krishna, and the right people will find you. They'll pick you out of a crowd. They'll knock on your door. They'll show up at your office. For some reason, from within the heart, the super soul, the Paramatma, will cause them to want to be good to you. That's a divine connection. Krishna will cause them to use their expertise, their connections, their funds to take you further, faster. Here's what will happen. You'll accomplish more in less time. You'll be promoted beyond your education. You'll see increase beyond your experience. The right people will help you to get to where you could not get on your own. Here's another personal testimony. After the success of our Festival of Colors in Spanish Fort, this is going back a few years, I wanted to take it to other cities and make the experience available to young people in other cities in Utah, like Salt Lake City, Ogden. I want to take it to Vegas, Reno, Sacramento, Riverside, San Fernando Valley. We went to Fresno. So in 1913, a local LDS group who did a color run called Run or Die came down to the temple and they asked if they could meet with me. They wanted to spend the money on acquiring tents and transportation and trailers and flags to set up a color festival exactly like the one that we were doing in Spanish Fork. They had social media experts, they had designers, they had connections with all the Alibaba tent and feather makers in China. So in 2014, they set up this whole traveling festival. They hired me as a consultant. They flew me out to all the festivals, gave me motel and rented a car. I was able to choose all the entertainers and I was able to be the master of ceremonies. So in 2014, we did Atlanta, Philadelphia, Charlotte, Houston, Seattle, Portland, even Anchorage. They flew me to each and every place. And the events were organized exactly as I personally would have organized them, with a lot of spirituality, only vegetarian food, a lot of kirtan, a lot of chanting. It was like a dream come true. Now, the next year, the color runs pretty much started to dry up. And this company was unable to do another season. They declared themselves bankrupt. Now, they had all this gear, all these tents, and all these flags that had been expert and professional design. They had a Facebook page that had over 100,000 followers, and they basically just turned that over to me for next to nothing. In the next year, 2016, without my Mormon partners, unfortunately, we did 16 color festivals on our own. Spanish Fork, Salt Lake, Ogden, St. George, Vegas, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Reno, Sacramento, Santa Cruz, Fresno, Oceanside. What happened? Krishna made it possible for me to do what would have been impossible on my own. Krishna took what should have taken years and cost tens of thousands of dollars and did it in a fraction of the time at a fraction of the cost. Now, if you too will take the limits off of Krishna, you can see him do amazing things. You'll look around and say, how in the world did I get to where I am? I'm not the most qualified, but I'm running the company. I'm not the most talented, but everybody in the office asks me for advice. I never went to seminary, but I've got a pretty big church here. I've got a pretty big temple here. Or it should have taken me until I retired, but I've already paid my house off. One touch of Krishna's favor can put you 30 years down the road. One good break, one connection, one promotion, one inheritance, one good open door can make a huge difference in your life. Well, Caru, you're just getting everyone's hopes pumped up. I don't believe Krishna will accelerate things in my life. I don't believe this will happen for me. Well, I agree with you. It won't happen for you. And this talk is not for you. You can disconnect right now because it's not going to do you any good. You have to be a believer. It's for those who are going to rise up and say, yes, Krishna, I know you're the God of acceleration. If you've done it in the past, you can do it again. If you took a 10-year process and did it in a split second, then I know that you can accelerate things in my life. I know that you can thrust me years and years and years ahead. In 1965, when Prabhupada brought Krishna consciousness to the United States, none of his 4,500 disciples were management material. No. We were part of the turn on, tune in and drop out culture, anti-authority, anti-business, anti-management, anti-government, anti-war, anti-racism. I had dropped out in 1967 and gone to Europe, the Canary Islands, Israel, Turkey, India, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Bali, Australia. I lived on beaches. I worked locally. Never had more than $200 in my pocket. But we, who later became Prabhupada's direct disciples, were searching, looking for meaning, looking for a purposeful way to lead our lives. And we had kept ourselves, consciously or unconsciously, available for that. And when we met our spiritual master Prabhupada, he raised us from the bottom to the top, from the back to the front. He took us further, faster, forward than we could have ever imagined. Now, I and my God brothers are guiding a worldwide organization with over 800 temples, farms, and restaurants. Within 10 years, we're all going to have passed away, and this awesome responsibility will have been passed down to another generation of devotees who themselves will not have earned it any more than we did. The qualification is simply a willingness to act as an instrument of God's purposes on earth, a willingness to allow Krishna to make us and mold us according to his divine plans. And we express that willingness by chanting his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What was all that to do with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON? That was God accelerating things. In the old days, 40s and 30s and 20s, such a rapid rise would have taken a lifetime. But in these times, Krishna is accelerating us like never before. If you just believe, if you put your trust in him, if you will live to honor God and get in the middle of what he wants for your life, then he's going to give you good breaks. He's going to open the right doors and promote you beyond your qualifications. He will cause you to stand out in a crowd. He will let his face shine on you, and you will accomplish goals that you would have never thought possible. In your life already, you may be starting to feel like you're slipping behind. Maybe you're not where you'd hoped or planned to be 10 or 20 years ago. Maybe you feel like this pandemic is the straw that broke the camel's back. It's the nail in the coffin. You have big dreams in your heart, but you just haven't caught the brakes. Doors have closed. It's easy to get discouraged. But let me challenge you. If you'll just keep on being your best day in and day out, if you'll live a life that continues to honor Krishna, he's going to not only easily make up for lost time, but he will thrust you further than you could imagine, take you beyond what you could even ask, imagine, or even think. Jerry and Jana Lackey moved to Botswana, Africa to do mission work. They live far out in a rural area where antelope and other wild creatures still roam. And there they take care of orphans, feed the poor, teach people, do great work. God's favor has always obviously been on their lives, but their big dream has always been to build a major youth center, a place where the young people could come and grow and learn and make friends. But it was estimated to cost $5 million. Now that's a lot of money, even in the United States of America. But in Botswana, it's an unheard of amount of money, where the annual income is less than $1,000 per capita. So Jerry and Jana, they kept their dream out in front of them. They envisioned it, and they steadily raised substantial funds over the years, but nothing close to that magnitude. And one day, a German businessman was visiting Botswana with his wife. They loved the country, and they decided that they wanted to do something to help. So they Googled the phrase Botswana orphanages, and the Lackey's organization came up through the search engine. It's called Love Botswana Outreach. The German businessman sent them a donation for $20,000 with a little note that said, eventually, I want to do more. And when he got back to Germany, he sent them another $300,000. You imagine how thrilled the Lackeys were? And then their benefactors said, I'd like to come personally meet you and tour the grounds. After a few months, the German businessman flew back to Botswana, to see their mission complex. He noticed the plans that they'd drawn up for a big youth complex. That was the greatest thing that Jerry and Jenna had ever dreamed to do, something they prayed and believed that somehow they could accomplish at least by the end of their lifetime. The German asked them how much the youth center would cost. $5 million, they said. I will write you a check, he said. On April 4th, 2013, our friends dedicated that brand new youth center, totally paid for by their German benefactor. What was that? God taking them forward further, faster. They're young people in their 40s. Before their German friend came around, Jerry and Jenna thought that they would be praying, believing, raising funds their entire lives, but they came into this shift. Krishna brought one man across their paths, a divine connection. And we can take a page from their book. We don't need everyone to help us. We just need that one person that Krishna sends, that Krishna ordains. We can accomplish with that divine connection in one split second what would have otherwise taken us an entire lifetime. Well, Caru, I don't know if this will happen to me. I never get any good breaks. I can tell you it's certainly not going to happen with that attitude. You cannot harbor thoughts of mediocrity and lack all day and expect to have abundance. You can't talk defeat and expect to have victory. You're prophesying your future with your words. If you want this shift to occur in your own life, you have to get in agreement with Krishna and say, yes, Krishna, this is for me. I believe that you've lined up the right people. I know that they're already in my future, and I want to thank you that I will accomplish my dreams sooner than I think. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the natural, it may not look like it, but remember, we serve a supernatural God. He's about to release floods of his favor, floods of healing, floods of good breaks. All we have to do is take the limits off of Krishna. Don't start going through all the reasons why your plan won't work, all of your critics, all of the obstacles, your lack of finances. Krishna would not have planted that dream in your heart unless he already had a way to bring it into pass. Now, if you'll stay in faith in the rough times, like during this pandemic, just like the lackeys in Botswana, Africa, it will not only happen sooner than you think, but when it happens, it'll be bigger than you imagine. That's the way our Krishna is. He likes to do things exceedingly, abundantly, above and beyond. I read that the Chinese bamboo plant barely shows itself above ground for the first 4 years. You don't see anything happening. Even though you water it, fertilize it, make sure it's getting sunlight, for 4 years it seems like you're just wasting your time, spinning your wheels. But what you can see is that under the ground, it's developing a massive root system. The roots are spreading out in every possible direction. In the 5th year, once the roots are properly established, the plant will take up in that 1 year and shoot as high as 80 feet in the air, from 0 to 80 feet, all within one single year. Now, many of you have been faithful. You've given, you've served, you've helped others, you've chanted kirtan and japa, you've sown a lot of seeds, but not a lot of progress has been visible. Yes, Krishna's been good to you. You're naturally grateful, but nothing really extraordinary is occurring. So far, you've lived the equivalent of your 4 years of developing roots. You were proving to Krishna that you would be faithful. You were showing him that you could take care of little, so now he's about to release much. Now that you've proved that you would do the right thing when it was hard. My encouragement is, your 4 years are over, the 5th year is coming, you need to get prepared. Krishna is saying that you're going to shift into a higher gear that's going to take you to levels beyond your income, beyond your training, beyond your talent, beyond your experience, beyond your ability. It may happen after the pandemic or it may happen during the pandemic. Stay open. When your 5th year comes, good breaks will find you. The right people will search you out. Opportunity will come knocking on your door. The 5th year is the harvest year. The 5th year is the favor year. You will reap from all the seeds that you've sown throughout the previous years. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nothing that you've ever done for him, Yad Kodos, Yad Ashnasi, Yad Dehasi, Namad Yad, has ever gone unnoticed. Every sacrifice that you've made, every time that you've offered food, every time that you've opened the Bhagavad Gita, every time you've ever helped a friend out, every talk you've ever listened to, every service that you've ever attended, the time and energy that you've spent, every time you've chanted the holy names of the Lord, Krishna has made a permanent note. Nothing has been lost or forgotten by the Lord. He keeps perfect accounts. Bhagavad Gita talks about how Krishna will shift his devotees into high gear in this life, not just in the sweet by and by. Because you've been faithful, there's a harvest stored up even now. Krishna even now is about to release many things that belong to you. It's going to happen sooner than you think. It's going to be bigger than you imagine. Krishna is going to bring out of you gifts and talents that you didn't even know that you had. Open up doors of opportunity. The 5th year is when Krishna will shoot you up higher than you could have ever dreamed. Think of the case of Prabhupada. It took Prabhupada 70 years to put down his roots. An entire lifetime had already passed while he prepared for his mission to come to the United States of America. Krishna grew the tree of ISKCON in 10 years after landing on the shores of America. By the time he passed away at the age of 82, it was within 10 short years a worldwide federation of 108 temples that continue to grow and strengthen to this day. But it took 70 years for him to develop the root system. Now, just like with Prabhupada, because you've been faithful, problems that you struggled with for decades are going to suddenly resolve. Krishna is going to cause things to fall into place. The right people are going to show up. You're going to see acceleration. Let me declare it. It will not take a lifetime to accomplish your dreams. It will happen in a fraction of the time. Get up every morning and say, Krishna, thank you for taking me further, faster. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you do that, then I believe that divine connections are coming your way. What should have taken you 60 years will be accelerated to a few years. Because you honor God and keep him first place, he's going to take you forward further and faster in this life, and next life he'll take you back to home, back to God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for joining us here on Saturday evening for our motivational talks. Today's was called Further and Faster. By Monday, we'll have this also transformed into a slideshow with an edited soundtrack, and we'll put it on our YouTube channel, Caru Utah Krishnas. Please be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get new output as it comes out, and also have all the archival material available for whenever you want to dive into that. Thank you, Frank, Nityananda Das. Thank you, Govinda. Thank you, Bhakti Devi, Malini, Ananta Virya from Australia, Snigdha, Dan Davis, Anjali, Nashringa Das, Thomas, Jessica, Bill, your buff is on the way, Radhe Sham, Manasa Ganga, and Alan. Thank you so much for being with me on this Saturday night. We'll be back 3 times tomorrow, not the least of which will be at 5:15 when the talk is going to be entitled In the Palm of His Hands. Hare Krishna. Good evening.